Myself, Dr. Hanuman Prasad. I am working as an assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry at in IARE. So, the topic I am going to discuss is gender sensitization. It is shortly known as GS. And there is a course overview. Let's discuss about it. The course aims at raising awareness on gender equality, and at the end of course you will have to understand how the male and female are equal in society. This is about the overview of this course. And course objectives for this gender sensitization. The basic gender concepts and their applications to long-term implementation of programming and initiatives. So you can get the objectives of these things, gender concepts and application to long-term implementation of programming and initiatives, and so on. These are all the objectives of this GS course. And course outcomes, COs. There are 6 course outcomes for this GS course. The first CO is develop a better understanding of important issues related to gender in contemporary India. The second CO is sensitize to the basic dimensions of the biological, sociological, physiological and legal aspects of gender. And the third CO is acquire insight into the gendered division of labor and its relation. The fourth CO is attain a finer grasp of how gender discrimination works in our society and how to counter it. The fifth CO is men, women and professionals will be better equipped to work and live together as equals. The final and sixth CO is know the new laws that provide protection and relief to women. These 6 are the course outcomes of this GS course. Let's discuss what is gender. Gender indicates the characteristics, positions, and roles of man and woman in all social relationships. In fact, gender comes from the Latin word genus, which means kind or type. In the few hundred years before, that means in 1950s, the term gender was used only in the field of grammar. In 1955, a scientist began to use the word gender in new ways, when referring to people in a way that was related to their sex, but not quite the same. So, in conclusion, gender indicates the characteristics, positions, and roles of man and woman in all social relationships. And it comes from the Latin word genus, which means kind or type. And what fields of work is selected for men and women? Women are generally in medical and nursing field, means who take care of the childs and patients, and men in little bit hard kind of works like machinery work, repairing the machines and taking care of machines, etc. So these kind of fields they can select for work. This is the general view. And let's go to the next content, sex. Sex indicates biological characteristics of man and woman. People are born male or female, few exceptions. They remain male or female throughout. The biological differences between men and women are identified at birth itself. For example, only women can give birth and only men can have sperms. So, in conclusion, sex indicates the biological characteristics of man and woman. Let's go to the next content, origin. So, the word sex comes from the Latin word sexus, which means to cut. Its original meaning was division, which shifted to a way of dividing something in half. So, the division between men and women, this is what is the meaning of sex. So, in conclusion, sex came from the Latin word sexus, which means to cut. And in fact, sex indicates the division between man and woman. Let's go to the next content. Biological difference between men and women. As you all know, women have XX type of chromosomes. Women have XX type of chromosomes, while men have XY type of chromosomes. So this is the major biological difference that exists between men and women. Women have XX type of chromosomes, whereas men have XY type of chromosomes. This is the biological difference between men and women. Let's go to the next content, gender and sex. As I told, sex refers to the biological and physiological characteristics that define men and women. So, gender refers to socially constructed roles, behaviors, activities, and attributes that a given society considers appropriate for men and women. Means, sex refers to the biological and physiological characteristics that define men and women, whereas gender refers the socially constructed roles that define men and women. So, gender refers biological characteristics, sex refers biological characteristics, whereas gender refers socially constructed roles. To put in another way, male and female are sex categories, while masculine and feminine are gender categories. So this is very important to note. Male and female are sex categories, whereas masculine and feminine are gender categories. So keep a note of this. This is the major wording in gender and sex. Let's go to the next content. Sex versus gender. Means what are the differences between sex and gender? As I just told, sex is biologically determined, whereas gender is constructed by society. And sex is universal for all human beings. Gender is multifaceted, differs within and between cultures. Sex is unchanging, whereas gender is dynamic, means changes over time. And sex is inborn, means by birth, whereas gender is acquired. Gender is acquired. And there are some dimensions of sex and gender. Sex is a biological variable, whereas gender is social and cultural variable. So you can also take a simple note of this. Sex is a biological variable, whereas gender is social and cultural variable. So the related terms to sex are anatomy, physiology, genetics, hormones. These are the terms that relate sex. And the terms that relate gender are identity, roles and norms, relations, and power. These are the terms that relate gender. So in conclusion, sex is biological variable, whereas gender is social and cultural variable. The terms regarding sex are anatomy, physiology, genetics, and hormones. The terms regarding gender are identity, roles and norms, relations, and power. Let's go to the next content. Examples of sex and gender. If you consider the statement, most drivers are men. Is it sex related or gender related? Obviously, it is gender related because it is social responsibility. And care of babies is the responsibility of women. Is it gender related or sex related? Of course, it is gender related because care of babies is occupational and socially constructed responsibility. And the next example is men have mustache. It is obviously sex related because it is biological characteristic of men. And the next example is women cannot carry heavy loads. Women cannot carry heavy loads. It comes under gender because it is social responsibility. And the next statement or example is women give birth to babies, whereas men don't. This is sex related because it is biological characteristic. And the last example I have given here is most of the men have short hair and women have long hair. This is also biological related, so it also comes under sex. Let's go to the next content. Gender roles. Gender role is the behaviors, attitude, values, beliefs, and so on that a particular cultural group considers. This is appropriate for males and females on the basis of their biological sex. Gender roles and expectations are learned here, and it refers to the activities that men and women actually do. The gender roles can be changed at a time, conditions, and situations. So they can be changed at any time. For example, care of babies. Depending on the situation, men can do and women can do. It is not only limited to women. It is also carried or done by men. So gender roles, depending on the time, they vary. Depending on conditions also, they vary. Depending on situation also, they vary. Let's go to the next content. Strength of men and women. Men have greater body mass, as you know, and strength, and are better equipped for hunting, warfare, and land clearing. So hunting, warfare, land clearing, these all tasks are generally done by strong people. Means general belief is that men are strong and they have greater body mass, so they are allotted these kind of works. But nowadays women are also doing. So that is why men and women are both equal in society. And women do tasks that are compatible with childcare, nursing, and cooking. This is all called nurturing type of works. So as the olden people believe that women are soft, so they are compatible with this nurturing type of works, childcare, nursing, and cooking. But nowadays, everyone is doing this, both men and women. That is why men and women are both equal in society. Let's go to the next content. Roles of gender. There are two different kinds of roles. Productive roles as well as reproductive roles. Productive roles refer to the work of generating income that men and women both do to make products or services as well as process raw materials to get income. So what is the final conclusion of productive roles? It is payable. It is payable. Productive roles are payable. Now let's discuss about reproductive roles. They refer to the activities where most of the time is spent. For example, childbirth and other related come under reproductive roles. Taking care of the family members and community also come under reproductive role. Preparing food also come under reproductive role, because in family for preparing food no one will pay, so it is the responsibility. So it is a reproductive role, and which are almost unpaid. All the reproductive roles are unpaid, means unpayable. These are unpayable. So productive roles are payable, reproductive roles are unpayable. Let's go to the next content. So that's all for this session. Thank you very much for your patience.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.